We have Justin Ford. Quick story on this guy, how I met him. This is the power of networking. We were in Cabo, and we were actually in like a hot tub. We were hanging out, having a very productive conversation with him and his wife, Joy.
My wife was with me.
Yep. His wife was with him. And we were talking about lead generation. And so as Brent was saying, hey, Johnny, who's the person that you think would really deliver a lot of value about lead generation? I'm like, Justin Ford. He gave me 10 things off the top of his head in a hot tub in Cabo. What's he going to do in 90 minutes? So please welcome to the stage, Mr. Justin Ford.
All right. Super excited to be here. And what's awesome about networking is, that was 3 years ago, and you never know where relationships are going to take you, right? You never know the person that you talked to last week or the week before or 2 years ago. When you build relationships and focus on relationships, those relationships open doors. And so thank you, Johnny, for recommending me to be here. Thank you to the Brent Gove organization for allowing me to be here. It's always an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to agents. And so I'm an agent just like you. I'll tell you all about that in just a moment. But my name is Justin Ford. I am from Detroit, Michigan. And besides, all the stuff and the negativity, I'm sure many of you have heard about Detroit. You can walk down the street in Detroit without getting shot, I promise. In some areas. But I've been in real estate for the last 19 years. I actually started when I was 12. Just kidding. But for the last 19 years, this is all I've known. I'm 41, so at the age of 22, I got introduced to the real estate industry, started off in the mortgage business, and kind of went through the mortgage side of things until the crash. How many of you guys were in the business in 2008? Okay, so you guys know that was a very difficult time. And so my wife and I, we were doing mortgages for a handful of years, and once we tasted what was possible with commission income, after the market crashed and we went through the downturn and lost everything. We actually lost our house to foreclosure, went through bankruptcy, had to get on food stamps. I mean, it was a very difficult period of time, but I had realized that, there's potential in selling, right? And so I got into, started doing short sales and loan modifications. Michigan was actually one of the hardest hit places for foreclosures back in 2008 and 2009. So we started helping homeowners that were going through foreclosure after we had already went through foreclosure, because nobody told me about a short sale or a loan modification, when we were going through it. And then back in 2013, I actually got my real estate license. Back in Michigan, I'm a broker. In Michigan, there's two types of licenses. You have your brokers and your agents. And so I was able to become a broker right off the bat. And so I've been listing and selling real estate for the last 11 years. And so how many of you guys have been in the real estate business more than 5 years? Raise your hand. Okay, keep your hands up if it's been more than 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Wow, we got some OGs in the house. 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. 40? Anybody over 50 years? Give it up for those that have been in the business a long time. What's awesome about this business is there's so much opportunity here. There's so much opportunity, and being in the business since 2008, I've rode a couple of the roller coasters that we've experienced in the industry, and obviously we're experiencing a little bit of a roller coaster ride right now, right? Obviously we had COVID in 2020, which kind of, hit the market, and at least in Michigan, we were the second to last state to be considered non-essential. So, while many of the other states were considered essential, we were non-essential, second to last to actually be essential again. And then we really have had the interest rates obviously go up over the last year and a half, which has changed some things. And then obviously we've got changes coming through NAR. And so one of the things that I've learned, because not only am I a real estate agent, but I'm also a real estate coach, and I've had the privilege and the honor to be a coach with an organization called Glover U. Many of you guys may have heard of Glover U. And one of the things that I've learned from Jeff Glover is a lot of stuff that is important when it comes to market shifts and changes. And what we've learned is a lot of people have gotten out of the business over the last year and a half, 2 years, because anybody can sell real estate when the market is good, right? But when the market is tough or things are shifting, a lot of people get out of the business, just like back in 2008. But one thing that I've learned over the last 19 years of being in sales and being in business is we determine what happens to our success, not the market, right? We determine the outcome of how our business goes, not the market. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how to make sure that no matter what comes our way in the real estate business, no matter what changes come down the pipeline, no matter how business changes, as long as we're willing to change with the business, as long as we're willing to stay proactive and doing marketing and lead generation, we're going to be just fine. Okay, we're going to be just fine. And for the OGs in the room, sir, what's your name in the back? Is that Papa Gove? Are we going to be just fine? Take it from the gentleman who's been in the business 50 plus years, right? And so I'm excited to be here today. So I've had the opportunity to speak to agents really all over the country. Not only am I a coach, but I'm also a speaker and trainer. And one of the things that I love about working with agents is anybody can be successful. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter, what aspect of the business that you cover, because there's a lot of ways to do real estate. It doesn't matter what state you live in. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be successful in real estate, and it really just starts with a decision. So I can't wait to really dive into that today. But just to tell you a little bit more about me, again, I sell real estate just like you. So I'm not a guy on the stage, going to talk about strategies and techniques that I think you should do. I'm going to share what I do to sell on average 100 plus homes a year individually. I have a team back in Detroit of 10 agents. I'm also a part of EXP, and I have 200 people in my EXP organization. And so I'm on the ground every day in the market, being active, selling homes, meeting with clients. As I mentioned, I'm also a speaker. I have a podcast, a motivational speaker. I just wrote a book, and I'm a husband, and I'm a dad, and I'm a grandpa. So you guys can call me Grandpa Justin, honestly. I know I don't fit the profile of grandpa. Some of you guys are like, he's not telling the truth. So right in the corner there, that's our oldest daughter, Angelina, in the red hair. That's our other daughter, Tiara. Our son, Emilio, on the side there. My son-in-law there in the middle. There's our grandson. My son is holding my grandson. They look like they could be brothers. And then our daughter, this was a couple years ago, our daughter actually, and my son-in-law just had our granddaughter. So we have a granddaughter and a grandson. So, yeah, so thank you. All right. That's just to tell you a little bit about me. Nothing special, but I think it's important to get to know who you're talking to. So what you want to do is I want you to turn to a clean sheet of paper today, because I'm going to give you some notes and some things that you can take away with today and implement into your business right away. How many of you guys want to take your business to the next level? Raise your hand. That's why you're here, right? Awesome. So when we talk to real estate agents, and even being a real estate agent, there's a lot of different ways to do real estate. And if we're going to talk about really become a marketing superstar, and I know many of you already have your way of doing business. You already have different strategies and techniques. Some of you guys probably already have a great business. And so even if there's just something that you can take away today to implement into your business to help it, that's going to be awesome. And so really, who is your target audience? Because when you think about marketing, who are you marketing to? Who are you marketing to? As we're growing our team back in Detroit right now, we're really trying to figure out, even though we sell, homes to anybody, right? We don't just limit ourselves to one. But if you really want to market, you got to know, who are you marketing to? Who is your target audience? And so as you can see there on the screen, you can choose to be a lot of different types of agents. You can focus on a lot of different types of clients. Number one, obviously, is luxury. You can also focus on veterans, buyers, sellers, investors, commercial real estate, relocation. Some agents I know specialize in doing farms or ranches. So when you think about marketing, I want you to write down, who am I marketing to and who is my audience? You might be like me, where we just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to meet with a first-time home buyer today. I'm going to go meet with a commercial, seller tomorrow. I'm going to list a piece of vacant land. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being, multidimensional within the real estate business. But if you really want to drill down and get focused on marketing and creating an opportunity to get in front of people, you really have to know who your audience is. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. Now, when we think about the definition of marketing, we have to first start with what is marketing. Marketing is the activity, it's a set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. That's really what marketing is. Marketing is being able to get out there and let your potential customer or your audience know who you are. And there's a lot of different ways to market. We're going to talk about that today. There's a lot of different ways that you can get out in front of people to know, for them to know who you are, to want to work with you as a real estate agent. Because in this business, how many people are in this room? Maybe 250, right? 250. You guys are probably all from this local area. There's a lot of real estate agents out there, right? There's a lot of real estate agents out there, not just in your local area, but all across the country. And what marketing does is it allows us to get in front of people so that we're top of mind when they're ready to make a decision. That's really what marketing is when buyers and sellers are looking to hire an agent, you want it to be you. You want to be the agent of choice. And that's really what marketing does. And as for those of that have been agents for a long time, right now there's a lot of different marketing techniques compared to what it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Can you imagine my agents in the room who have been in the business, 10, 15, 20 years? Can you imagine doing real estate without a cell phone? Or a computer? Or social media? Or the MLS? Can you imagine doing business where someone had to drive to your office and you had to just put this book of listings on the desk and have them look through it to figure out, what type of house they were interested in? That's crazy when you think about it. I know an agent back, one of my buddy's dads, he was like, back in the 70s, he was with Century 21. He used to sell 150 homes a year with no assistant back in the 70s with a payphone. That's how he used to do it. He said, I would have a ton of quarters in my car, and I'd hit payphones all over the place. That's how I built my business. I said, I wouldn't have survived back in the 70s. There's no way I would have, right? Because marketing and technology has changed the way that we do business today. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. Everyone in this room can sell as many homes as you want to. Everyone in this room can have the size of the business that you want to. You can make the amount of money that you want to because there's nothing stopping us from what we have access to. We have everything that we need in order to build big businesses and sell a lot of homes. We do. We have everything that we need because if they could do it back in the 70s and the 80s with no technology, we can do it with all the tools and the resources that we have available to us today. So let's talk about the different types of marketing. What is marketing? And Johnny was using the word marketing and lead generation interchangeably because that's what marketing is, right? We market to generate leads. We market to get exposure. We want people to know who we are so that, again, when people think of real estate, they think of you and me. Write that down. Say, when people think of real estate, they think of me. That's the whole goal of marketing. That's the whole goal of lead generation. That's the whole goal of getting in front of people so that when it's time for them to make a decision, you're the only choice. Okay? You're the only choice. And so everything that I'm going to share with you today is what I've used. So my very first year in real estate back in 2013, I sold 100 homes. My first year in the business. I'm going to tell you how I did that. So for those that are in the room right now that really don't have a sphere of influence or you don't have a lot of business, I'm going to tell you how I did that. I'm going to share with you all the strategies and techniques that we've used up until now, that we still use on a daily basis to get out in front of people. For those of you guys that are team leaders or you're with EXP or another organization where you're looking to attract and build, I'm going to share with you how you do that, and it's all tied into marketing, okay? And so lead gen equals prospecting, because when you hear the word lead generation, it's really prospecting. I know some of you guys just cringed when I said that word because it's like the dirty word of real estate, prospecting, right? Because when you think of prospecting or you hear the word prospecting, what do you think of? What is it? Mike Ferry, what else? Cold calling, right? That's the number. I heard everybody say it at the same time, right? Because that's what we think prospecting is. But what is prospecting, okay? I want to read this to you, and I want you to actually write the definition down if you want. Prospecting is the first stage or the first step in the sales process. It involves identifying potential customers and engaging with them to increase the chances of making a sale in the future. That's what prospecting is. It's not cold calling. Although cold calling is a part of prospecting, it's the first step in the sales process. And so no matter how you do business, we all prospect. And we all need to prospect every day in some way, shape, or form, because maybe there's some people in the room that have been around a while. Most of our phones are not ringing off the hook every day with somebody saying, can you come list my house? I'm ready to buy a house right now. I mean, we get those calls, but it's not an all-day, everyday thing. And so we have to be out there prospecting. And that's really what lead generation is. And our goal is to turn prospects into clients. And so what are some of the ways that those that are here today prospect on a daily basis in your business? So you call people in your network. Who else? Farming, you work your farm, you work your sphere. Who else? Ways that you individually, just your business. Yes, ma'am.
I prospect as I go throughout every part of my life.
Every part of your life, prospecting, right? Who else? Social events. Yep. Yes. Social events. Social media. What else? Different ways that anybody in the room, how do you get your business? Yes. BNI, yep, that's a form of lead generation and prospecting. Who else? Open houses, it's a form of prospecting. What else? Kids sports events, yep. What else? Door knocking, yep. So these are all ways to get out there and prospect. And the good news is, just like trying to identify who our target audience is, we need to identify what is our method of lead generation and prospecting on a daily basis. And so some of you guys might say, there's no way in the world that guy sold 100 homes his first year in the business. How did he do that? I'll tell you exactly how. Mike Ferry. He said Mike Ferry. I followed the Mike Ferry scripts, and I called for sale by owners and expireds every day. And in my first month in the business, I took 30 listings. My second month in the business, I took 32 listings. I put 9 homes under contract my second month in the business. In my first 6 months, I took 100 listings, and by the end of the year, I had sold 100 homes. And I don't say that to impress you at all, but just to impress upon you that there's a lot of different ways to prospect. And for me, being a brand new agent at the time and not having a sphere of influence, not really knowing how to get out there and market myself, someone said, hey, here's a stack of leads, here's a phone, go make it happen. And as I mentioned to you earlier, losing our house to foreclosure, going through bankruptcy, being on food stamps. I mean, when you're at the bottom of the barrel, the only way is up, and you got to figure it out, right? And so I grabbed the phone, and I started smiling and dialing, and I took the FUs, and I took the scum, you're the scum of the earth, go get a real job, your mama's fat, all that stuff. Because I'm telling you, they say all of that. Is anybody prospect in the room, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Absolutely. And so there's a lot of different ways to prospect, and here's what I'll say. I have the privilege of coaching real estate agents on prospecting, and one of the things that I find is this. The number one thing that holds people back from getting out there and prospecting is what? Fear. Fear of rejection, yourself. Because it's not that we don't know some of the, I'm sure everything that I'm going to share with all of us today, we all know all of these things. But for whatever reason, we're just not getting out there and doing it. And we all struggle with fear of rejection. We all struggle with limiting beliefs. And for those of you that are in the room right now, and maybe you're saying, well, my year is not starting off right. I'm not really hitting the numbers that I want to hit. I'm not happy with where my pipeline is or my income is. I've got the answer for you, and I want you to write this down. Here's the solution. If you're not happy with where your business is, you're not making the amount of money that you want to make, you're not selling the amount of homes that you want to sell, it's real simple. Just write this down. I'm just not talking to enough people. I'm just not talking to enough people, because prospecting, no matter how you do it, is engaging with people and having conversations. If we go back and we look at the definition, it's the first step in the sales process. There's no way around it. And I know that as agents, because I'm guilty of it too, we want to look for the path of least resistance to get to a deal. right? We want that phone to ring and say, hey, my friend told me that you sold their house. Can you just come list my house today, and I'm willing to pay you a full commission? Absolutely. I'm on my way right now. But we know that that doesn't always happen. And so we have to understand that if we're going to be successful in business, we have to have some type of lead generation or prospecting built into our calendar every day. The routine that I followed when I sold 100 homes, the routine I follow today that I train my agents on is every morning from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. we prospect. Every single day. Minimum 25 conversations every single day. Every single day. And here's why. Let's just think of just from a sheer numbers game. And I want you to apply this to yourself as I say it. Whether it's for sale by owners or expireds or making calls or whatever, if you got out and talked to 25 people every single day about real estate 5 days a week, and you did that every week of the month, and you did that for a whole year, how many of you guys just know that you're going to sell more homes? Raise your hand. It's called the law of averages. And the law of averages says the more people I talk to, the more appointments I'll set. And the more appointments I set, the more appointments I'll go on. The more appointments I go on, the more contracts I'll get signed. And the more contracts I get signed, the more people I'm going to be able to help buy or sell a house. It's literally called the law of averages. And so whether it's holding 4 open houses a weekend, where you do 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday, you know that if you do that every weekend, you're going to get clients from it. If you sit down and you call expireds and for sale by owners, guess what? 99% are going to tell you no. But what if just 1% says yes? And you just do that consistently over and over again, before you know it, you're going to have more deals in your pipeline. It's the same thing with social media. A lot of times people want to start a TikTok page or a YouTube page or start on social media. You start doing reels and you get discouraged because nobody's blowing up your phone yet to buy or sell a home. But then you see people that are out there who are like crushing it, right? They're just killing it. But what you don't see is the 100+ videos that they did, that they got nothing from, that they had to battle through discouragement, battle through limiting beliefs to continue to show up, because they know that if they continue to do it sooner or later, someone's going to reach out. It's no different when you make phone calls. It's no different when you go door knocking. It's no different when whatever form of business that you do, it happens because of consistency. And so when Jeff taught me back in 2013, he says it's going to feel like you're taking a step back and you're going to make these calls and people are going to hang up on you and people are going to tell you no and people are going to cuss you out. But here's what he said: I promise you. He said, I promise you. It wasn't like, hey, maybe. He said, I promise you that if you do this consistently, you're going to sell a lot of homes. I said, are you sure? I said, yep. I said, and I picked up the phone. I almost quit the first day because I'm like, this sucks. Somebody called my mom a fat. I mean, I'm like, But I'm like, you know what? If he could do it, I can do it. And that's the beautiful thing about prospecting. That's the beautiful thing about lead generation. That's the beautiful thing about marketing, is it has no respecter of person. It doesn't matter how young you are, old you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what background you come from. Doesn't matter, because, there are people out there like you. And if you put yourself out there, write this down, you're going to attract people, not who you want, but who are like you, right? We don't have to be liked by everybody. We don't have to be chosen by everybody to sell their home. I used to get so discouraged when I would go on a listing appointment and they didn't choose me. I'd ruin my whole night for days. I'd be so discouraged. Why didn't you choose me? And then I learned that, you know what? You don't make connections with every single person. And people don't choose you based on the company that you're with or the accolades you have or how many homes you sell. They choose you based on how you make them feel. And so I've seen people with full-out tattoos, right? Like piercings, shaved head, piercings all over. And you know what? They have a huge, big business. Why? Because they attract who they are, not who they want. I've seen people with pink hair, purple hair, suits, shorts, and flip-flops. Listen, there's business out there for all of us. It doesn't matter how you show up. What matters is how often you show up. The consistency of showing up. And so these are the ways to prospect, okay? So for anybody in the room right now that wants to do more business, we're not telling you to stop doing what you're already doing, because if that works, definitely continue to do that. But here's some ways to prospect. Picking up the phone. Yes, I know that nobody likes the rejection that comes with picking up the phone. Have you ever asked yourself why? That's a question when I ask my students, like, hey, what are you afraid of? They're like, I don't know. I said, well, wouldn't you like to know what's holding you back from having more conversations and selling more homes? They're like, I never looked at it that way. I said, well, what if you could dig a little deeper and figure out what is the limiting belief in your mind that's keeping you from picking up the phone and having conversations with people, because you do want to help people sell their homes, right? Yeah. You do think that you're a good agent, right? Yeah. You like getting in front of people and helping them, list their home or help them buy a home, yeah. So what's the limiting belief, or what's the obstacle from you having more conversations with people every day? And you know what they said? I don't know. That was me. I didn't like being rejected. I didn't like being told no. I was told no a lot when I was a kid. My parents told me no all the time, right? They built that, limiting belief in me. But the minute that I learned how to not allow that to affect me, the minute that I did not care no longer if people said no to me or rejected me, my business took off. Because it's really just a numbers game. We get so bent out of shape when we don't get what we want as fast as we want, and we just give up and quit, and then we move on to the next thing. Because we want that path of least resistance. We want the next shiny object. Why do you think there's so many companies in real estate that just love us real estate agents? Because they know, hey, I'll call all of these people for you, and I'll set you up with appointments for X amount of dollars. Or hey, sign up for this right here, and we guarantee this. Or hey, if you just sign up for this shiny object over here, you'll get more business. And we look for that. I'm guilty of it too. But when I learned that that's not the way to get to the destination. The way to get to it is by buckling down and doing the hard stuff. It's hard to do a bunch of videos and record videos and come up with scripts and sit in front of a camera. I know some of you guys are like, I'm not getting in front of a camera. But if you overcame the fear of getting in front of the camera and you actually did it consistently, you're going to get results. There's no way I'm picking up the phone. Absolutely not. It's my biggest fear in the world. If you overcame the limiting belief around that and you weren't afraid anymore and you committed to talk to 25 people a day, I take 8 to 10 listings every month just from being told no. Because the majority of people tell me no. I'm only looking for 1 or 2 people per day to say yes. And so if 24 tell me no and 1 says yes, and if you look at the whole week, right, that's 125 calls I make. And if 120 tell me no or to F off or go to hell, but 5 tell me yes, how many of you guys would bet on that all day long, right? All right, and you know what? All right, 1 told me no, 2 told me no, 3 told me no. I just got to get to 120, and then boom, boom, boom. And really the numbers ratio is 1 out of 25, you should have tell you yes. And the good thing is you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Sometimes you could call them up and say, hello, my name is, and sure, you can come list my house. I've had agents who have never prospected before stare at the phone for 2 hours because they're deathly afraid the first call they make, they set an appointment. I said, now don't get used to that because that's not how easy it normally is. But it can happen if you just put yourself in front of people. Next one, right? Texting and emailing. Now, obviously, there's rules and regulations how you do that, just like making phone calls, so you want to make sure you abide by your state laws. But there's ways to be consistent in communicating with people. Door knocking. I know door knocking in California is a big thing, at least in certain areas, because there's a girl that's a part of our organization who moved from Detroit to Malibu, and she thought she was going to be able to call expireds and FSBOs to $5 million houses. That doesn't work, right? So she had to learn to get out there and knock on like 300 doors a day. Every day. And get out there and just knock. And you know what? It took her a long time to get her first deal, but once that first one happened, she built a big business just off of door knocking people. Why? Because again, if you do something consistent and long enough, sooner or later results happen. It's just a law, right? It's a law of averages. It's a law of results. Next one is mailers. Mailers is a great one. I know somebody said farming. If you send out enough mailers, sooner or later when somebody's ready to buy or sell, they're going to remember that guy or that girl, right? Because they consistently see it over and over and over again. I remember sending out like a mailer one time. Nobody answered the first time. I'm like, this doesn't work. That's a waste of money, right? But then I found from the guy who gets a ton of business in our local area, he has a regiment and a system and a process that he follows to get the mailer out over and over and over again. You know what he said? He knows his numbers. If I send out 20,000 mailers and I do that every single other month or whatever he does, I think it's bi-monthly, he says, this is how much business I'm getting at the end of the year. And he sells $30 million, which again, with an average sales price of $300,000, I know the prices are a lot higher out here, but with the average sales price of $300,000 in Michigan, $30 million is pretty good, right? Just from mailers. Because sooner or later, someone's going to be like, oh, I'm ready to buy or sell. Where's that mailer of that one guy or gal that always comes in the mail? It's there when they're ready because you consistently sent the mailers. Social media, that's a big one. I've got some really good stuff on social media that I'm going to share with you today because social media is an area that we can really leverage and use without really having to put too much money into it. And I'm going to talk about that. So social media is a big one. Obviously, going to events. I heard B&I, right? Networking events. There's ways that we can all get out there and get in front of people because real estate is a people business. And so for those of you in the room that don't like people, you're in the wrong business. I'm just letting you know. Because there are some real estate agents that just don't seem like they like people. I'm like, you're in the wrong business. Or if you ever go to a restaurant and the server who's there supposed to serve you and they get paid based on tips, and they're just like rude and nasty. I'm like, honey, go deliver garbage or something, right? You can be a garbage woman or a garbage man or work in a factory where all the other miserable people are, right? I used to work in a factory. I know there's miserable people in there, trust me. And so there's a lot of different ways to prospect, and here's what we need to do. We just need to pick one. Now, I'm not saying we can't do them all, but if we're spread out all over the place and we're never really gaining any traction, we're never going to see the numbers that we want. And so it's good to pick a lane, get it going, and then add another lane, okay? So let's talk about social media. Now, social media is huge, and actually I teach my coaching class that I do. It's weekly, and this week we actually taught, it's on Mondays, about social media. So I'm going to take the exact notes that I shared with my class, and I'm going to share it with you, and I've even got a social media calendar. So for those of you that are in the room that maybe don't do anything with social media, I'm gonna give you some steps to actually get started right away. Because social media is an untapped thing for some people that can generate business for you right now. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how experienced or inexperienced you are. And for those of you millennials in the room, I'm going to tell you that Facebook, even though you've stayed away from it because you think it's for us old people, Facebook is actually one of the places that you can generate a lot of business with buyers and sellers. Because Facebook, the average age on Facebook and the percentage of buyers and sellers on there is higher than any other social media platform. Don't get me wrong. Continue to do TikTok videos, Snapchats, whatever. I never understood Snapchat, by the way, because our son just takes a picture of his forehead every day, and he sends it out as, and they call it maybe a streak. I'm like, what are you streaking? That doesn't even make sense. I never understood Snapchat. I never did. But Facebook is actually a great platform. Instagram, obviously there's a bunch of them, but I'm going to share with you guys why social media is so beneficial, okay? And so here's what I want to do. I want to go over some notes with you about social media. But what is social media? It's to create visibility. Again, to get in front of people, engage with potential clients, and establish authority in the real estate industry. Now, Facebook allows you to get up to 5,000 people. So when Facebook first came out, I think it was back in 2006, 2007, I understood the power of relationships and networking. So I went and friended 5,000 people as fast as I could. Now, I spent about 6 months in Facebook jail. I still was able to eat and didn't, get thrown in solitary on Facebook, or whatever it's called. But I learned how Facebook and being able to network and connect with people has created a lot of opportunities for me. A lot of opportunities, not just in helping people buy or sell homes, but agents who are now on my team. Even the coaching organization that I'm a part of came through me meeting Jeff through Facebook, and many other agents through social media. And so I wanted to take some notes here, okay? because I want to talk about building a strong foundation with your social media page. Now, some of you guys already may have a great social media presence, but for those of you guys that don't, or at least are curious how to, this should be good. And so when you think of Facebook, okay, so if Facebook allows you to add 5,000 people, you might say, well, I don't really know who to add with 5,000 people, or who do I add on Instagram? And I'm going to give you some categories here. So number one is you should add everyone that you know and have a loose relationship with in life. Everyone that you know and have a loose relationship with in life. So think about everybody that you know, because if we're marketing and we're networking and we're getting out to know people, who does do you go to the same place to get coffee every morning? Do you have a favorite barista? Do you get your nails done, ladies? Do you get your hair done? Fellas, wherever we go and whatever we do, who are the people, that you know? People at your gym, your kids' school, the teachers, other parents. These are all people in our sphere of influence that we need to be able to network and connect with. Because if we're going to get out there and build a business through marketing and networking, one of the fastest free ways to do that is on social media. So I've added everybody that I want to network with or connect with through Facebook, okay, or on Instagram. The next one is you don't have to add people to your Facebook or your social media that you don't believe that you'll ever do business with. You only want to add people that you feel like are in your network or that you want to do business with or that you want to connect with. You also want to add every single client that you've worked with to your social media. Now, some of you guys thought, well, man, I don't want my clients to see what I do at night, because you're a real estate agent during the day and you're a rock star at night, right? So the good news is with Facebook, you can actually create 2 different lanes or even multiple different lanes. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but let's just say, I hope it's not the case, but there's usually one in every room. You're a rock star at night and you don't want your clients to see, your nightlife. So you can actually create a post and create lists within Facebook where, only your rock star friends that you party at night with see your posts for your nightlife. So you can keep it separate. But if you just want to keep it neutral, then what you do is you add every single person that you've done a deal with or your existing client base. Now, I wouldn't add anybody that you had a bad transaction with. We've all had at least one, right? Some of us are like, oh my gosh, they all seem to be bad. But you want to have everybody that you've done a deal with or you're currently in relationship with on Facebook, because these are people who are looking at you and following you and watching you even when you don't know it, okay? So you want to add even past clients who've moved out of town, because by being top of mind, again, they could just be scrolling on Facebook, and if you're friends with them and they see a post that you just helped somebody sell a home or buy a home, it might trigger like, oh yeah, my cousin back home is looking to sell. We just talked about that at Easter, and boom, they're like, hey, you got to call Joe, or hey, you got to call Susie, because they can help you. Because the reality is if we don't stay in front of our past clients or our center of influence, they might go with somebody else because we weren't top of mind. How many of you guys have ever either had a family member, a friend, or a past client use another real estate agent, right? Most of us have, and that stinks. That's our fault, actually. That's our fault because we weren't top of mind when it came time for them to want to buy or sell, okay? And so you want to add everybody that you can to your social media. Next is, what should we post? So we've got this down to a science, because we have a lady that we work with that is a marketing genius, and she studies the algorithms. So Facebook and Instagram, they change their algorithms on a regular basis, so that a lot of times you might put a post up and it doesn't get a lot of hits, or you might put a post up and it does get a lot of hits. There's a science behind that, and I'm going to give you some ways to do that. And so it's like, what should we post when we're posting on social media? So we're all real estate agents. You don't want to go all ham on being real estate 24/7, right? Because people don't want to see every post that you post, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. People are like, man, I'm just sick and tired of seeing that real estate agent. You actually want to do a solid ratio of both personal and professional. It's a relationship business, so we want people to see when we go to our kids' sports game, or we go out and have dinner, or we go on vacation. I know some people are very private. They don't like posting stuff. Totally fine with that. But when you post stuff and you show people who you are and that you're relatable, this is why even when like people who do YouTube or social media, how they get to a point where their business blows up, it's because people have followed them long enough and they've looked into their world and they're like, I know her. I know him. And I want to do business with them, right? And you don't even know who they are, but they think they're your best friend because they're like, oh, you guys had a great time back when you went to Mexico in December. Oh, I loved your son Judah when he was doing this and that. I'm like, how do you know my son? Oh, that's right. I post about him, right? It's kind of scary and creepy, but it's not, because if you're putting yourself out there, you're showing the world who you are and you're becoming relatable. And again, people will be attracted to you based on who you are, and they'll want to do business with you, okay? So we want to see a solid ratio of both personal and business. And so people want to see that you're a human too, not just a real estate agent. And so this includes things like a new restaurant you tried. So me and my wife, where did we go last night? Sierra. Sienna. You got it wrong. Sienna. How many of you guys have been to Sienna? They got a really good steak over there, honestly. And so we posted about that last night, right? So, hey, maybe somebody comes into town that's never been here before and they go to Sienna, right? Really good steak, by the way. Post about it. Talk about the cool new restaurant you tried. Talk about the trip that you took with your family. Anything that you want to share with your community, it's up to you. Because that's how you want to look at it. The 5,000 people I have on Facebook, this is my community. You know, the followers that I have on Instagram, this is my community. Because they chose to either accept my friend request, send me a friend request, or follow me on Instagram, okay? So I want to show you guys some things. So for those of you guys that might be wondering, well, okay, combination of business and a combination of personal, what does that look like? Now, you guys can take pictures of the slide if you want, but I'm actually going to give you a way where you can get this social media packet for free. And so this is called a social media calendar example, okay? And so when you think about what should I post and when should I post, this is basically a calendar here that gives you some examples of what you should post about on what days. As you can see, the red is actually personal and the black is business. So if you see the words there in red, that means it's personal. If you see them in black, it's business, okay? So as you can see this on the calendar, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip real quick and then I'll come back to this. These are all of the content ideas that you can post about, okay? We've got educate, entertain, motivate, build trust, and promote the community. So if let's just say it's Sunday and we're going to do a red educate post. What are we going to talk about? We're going to do a home maintenance tip. Could use a personal example. A do-it-yourself tip. Could use a personal example. Let's say it's Monday and it's a motivate post. Well, talk about a seller challenge that you had. Talk about the best value of the month. Why now is the time to buy or sell? What's happening with the economy? How does it impact real estate? Interest rate updates, markets. So as you can see here, these are different ways that you can post personally and professionally on a consistent basis to where you're just, again, like we talked about earlier, whether it's prospecting or doing videos, you're just doing things consistently. And I heard a saying that really helped me because I'm a results type of person. How many results-driven people do I have in the room? Should be everybody because we're in a results-driven business, right? We don't get paid unless we get across the finish line. Here's a great saying, and I encourage you to write it down. Don't focus on the end results, focus on the process. And if you get really good at the process, guess what shows up? The results. So if we focus on the process of just posting on social media, even if we don't want to, like even if you don't want to do social media, you don't have to, but if you did it and it generated a couple extra deals a year, is it worth it? Doesn't cost it. It's just costing you time to write a post, and now we have ChatGPT. ChatGPT is actually becoming a good friend of mine. I really like ChatGPT. Because when it comes to me having to like sit down for 20 or 30 minutes and write something, I just spit out a few words. 3 seconds, ChatGPT knew exactly what I was thinking. Boom. I write my real estate remarks now with ChatGPT. Those remarks sound way better than what I would write, honestly. So again, here's a lot of different ideas. And so there's a whole calendar. There's a breakdown of algorithms, statistics, and everything. And if you guys want a copy of that, you can actually just text the word social to 55444, and you'll get a free copy of that. We're not going to spam you or anything like that, but it is a calendar that we give out. And for those of you that want to take your social media game to the next level, here it is. So you could actually go to ChatGPT if you don't want to write, or you're like, I don't even know what to write, and you could say, give me 5 buyer frequently asked questions with answers. And within 3 seconds, you'll have it. Go post it on your Facebook. You could say, what's the biggest return on investment for sellers? Boom. Or just write them on your own, okay? These are all the different things that you can post on when it comes to social media. And then again, this is the calendar to tell you what you should post and on what day. So for those of you guys that are new to social media, we call it 3 levels. Level 1 is like where you post 3 times a week, okay? Just 3. Level 2 is where you go 5 days a week, and level 3 is where you post every single day of the week. And maybe you just want to post once or twice. Now, even though some of this stuff is business, but you can see in there like entertain, community. You know, go out into your community and post things about the community on there. Because once people start following you and once people start engaging with you, you're going to see people start reaching out. I have people all the time that reach out and say, hey, my mom's thinking about selling her home. Would you be interested in meeting with us? Absolutely. Haven't even talked to the person in years. I just had a kid from high school, and I've been out of high school a long time, okay? And I haven't talked to the kid since high school. And honestly, I wasn't even like cool with the kid. We were just acquaintances. But I didn't really like him, and he didn't really like me. But guess who he reached out to sell his house? I haven't talked to him in years, but guess what? He's been following me on social media. He's tracking my career. He sees what I'm doing. And you know what he said? Justin, you've been killing it, man. How does he know I've been killing it? Because I post what I'm doing in life on social media. So I'm helping him sell a house in Michigan, and he's moving to Florida to buy one, and I'll get a referral fee on that. The power of social media. For those of you guys that have been in the room a long time where, let's say, you know, you're a little bit older, because I was having the conversation with somebody the other day, like social media reconnected you to people that you hadn't talked to in years. Now, I was only out of high school for like 7 years before social media came out, but to go back and connect with people that were like from high school that now you're connected with again and you're building relationships with again, because before social media, how often did you really connect with people from high school? Many people moved out of the area, or you just never really connected with them, or they weren't in your circle. Now you can connect with everybody. And this is the power of social media, because all of those people at some point are going to buy or sell a home, or they're going to know somebody that does. So by us going on social media, we're becoming the expert, and the whole purpose of marketing and lead generation is to be top of mind when they're ready. You and I want to be top of mind when anybody in our world wants to buy or sell a house, okay? So if you guys, again, want a copy of that, you can text the word social to 55444, okay? Now let's talk about branding. So branding is super important as well, because you want to make sure that when you're putting yourself out there and you're beginning to attract people, or you know, like when I showed you in the beginning slide, you're going after luxury or veterans or whoever, when you build your brand, you want to make sure it's consistent. Branding yourself, crafting a unique personal brand that resonates with your target audience. Your target audience. It was really hard for me, because when I first got into real estate, followed the Mike Ferry system. Mike teaches wear a suit and tie. That's his system that he teaches. So when I first started in real estate, I wore a suit and tie every day. And then I saw things starting to lighten up in the office. The guy that I was working for started coming into the office without a tie. I said, thank the Lord. So I took my tie off, and I haven't worn a tie since, honestly. And then you go to Florida. I remember going to Florida for my first business meeting with the suit and tie, and these guys literally laughed at me because I'm at the table dripping sweat, and they're all in shorts and tank tops and flip-flops. They said, this is how we do business down here. I'm like, I need to move to Florida, honestly. But in the summer, right, I would always, because this is how I was brought up to believe, like, if you want to look successful and, you know, portray yourself as successful when you meet with people, then you need to look professional, okay? And then I went on, I was getting ready to go on an appointment. It was in the middle of August, which is a pretty hot month in Michigan, and it was at least 95. I called to confirm my listing appointment. The guy says, I hope you're dressed down. I'm like, that's a first. Why is that? We don't have air conditioning. I said, what? I literally took my suit off, put some shorts on in a golf polo. I went over there and I still sweated. There was a puddle on the ground. It was so hot in that house. I thought it was child abuse, honestly. They had kids that already moved out. But can you imagine being a kid growing up in today's day and age with no air conditioning? That's horrible. I felt bad for those kids, honestly. But after that day, I don't wear a suit in the summer anymore. We got some golf polos with our logo on it. We wear a pair of shorts. And you know what? I remember showing up and feeling guilty one time, and I told the lady, I said, I didn't wear my suit today. I actually left it at home. She says, I'm glad you did, because if you would have walked in with the suit, you wouldn't have got my business. Serious. And it was in a price point where you would think they would appreciate a suit. And so I say all that to say is this. It doesn't matter how you dress. As long as you got to be decent. I wouldn't be showing up to an appointment, you got to be decent. I'm not going to go into examples. You want to show up presentable, okay? Because when you show up, this is your personal brand. So like the guy with the tattoos and stuff, he literally calls himself the tattoo agent. And you know what? People love him just the way he is. And he attracts people to his brand. Just like the guy with the flip-flops and the shorts. It doesn't matter. You are your own brand. And you know what? I give you permission to be yourself. Stop trying to be like him or her down the road just because you think that they're successful and you want to be like them. You're not them. Be like yourself. Because when you're yourself and you go out there and you do a really great job at being yourself, you're going to attract people to yourself who like you just the way you are. And if people don't like the way you dress, if people don't like the way you act, they don't like the kind of car you drive, they don't like what your brand is, they can go find the agent down the street, okay? Because I don't take every business that comes my way. I only want to work with people that I feel comfortable and want to connect with, right? Same thing, with hopefully that's how they feel with me. So crafting a unique personal brand that resonates with your target audience. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? Okay, when you identify what you want to be known for, we have a really good friend. Her name is Tara Carter. She's out of Miami, Florida. Me and my wife were just down there at a conference last week. She's the pink flamingo real estate agent. And that's what she's known for. Hot pink. She wears it. When she does open houses, she blows up one of those blow-up pink flamingos and puts it in the pool. And you know what? She's like, everybody knows her as the pink flamingo real estate agent. And she's built a huge brand on it. And so when there's a pink flamingo out on her open, people know who she is. Because she picked that brand and she went all in on it. And that's her. And so maybe you're a veteran. Don't be ashamed of that. Maybe you're a single mom and you want to work with single moms. Don't be ashamed of that. Be who you are, and you can, we can work with anybody, right? It doesn't matter. But what is your brand? What do you want to be known for? And go be that, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to build your brand around the colors, the logo, and everything around what you want to create for yourself, and it has to be consistent. So if you're going to have social media, you can't have different profile pictures on each one of your social medias. It has to be consistent. Use the same picture on your Instagram, on your Facebook. I don't even think Snapchat has a picture, or your TikTok. Just have it all consistent. Have your colors consistent. Don't show up to a listing appointment with listing materials that are different than your business card or even your email that you send out. Make sure everything that you do is consistent across the board. And then you want to ask yourself, what is your value proposition? What is your value proposition? What are you known for? What type of value do you bring the consumer? Because if you think about it, when it comes to value proposition, there's, I'll just say 300 people in the room. Why would a buyer or a seller pick you out of the other 299? What's different about you? What's your value proposition? What do you bring to the table when it's time for a client to want to call you to buy or sell a home? That's what a value proposition is, and we should all have a value proposition. And we should all know what our value proposition is. And so when somebody meets with you, you should have a value proposition ready to go, which shows what separates you from the rest. Because if you start doing this prospecting or this outreach to strangers, because there's two types of people out there. People you know and people you don't know. Which one's bigger? The people we don't know. So if we don't have a big enough business on people who know us, we got to go out to people we don't know. And a lot of times the people that don't know us are interviewing other people. And so when we meet with a seller or a buyer, what are we presenting them and showing them that we do that separates us from the rest? Okay? That's a value proposition. Another thing that you can do to brand yourself, which I think is becoming really huge, is obviously creating social media and then a podcast. A podcast, establishing yourself as an expert. And you don't even have to be titled an expert, but if you do a podcast and on a weekly basis you're going out and putting out content on buying or selling a house, and you do that consistently enough, or talking about the real estate industry or whatever it is, sooner or later you're going to have people reaching out to you and looking at you as a part of, like from an authority standpoint, because you're doing a podcast or you're doing social media. Another thing is you can write a book, a part of branding yourself, right? You can become an author. It's not hard to become an author. I actually became an author. I wrote a book 2 years ago on my story. I won't talk too much about it, but I had a rough child upbringing, dropped out of high school, acquired 8 misdemeanors and a felony, sold drugs to an undercover cop, overdosed, almost died, got beat up by the police, and they got into a lot of mess. And most people now look at me today and they're like, there's no way that that's possible. But I had a rough upbringing, but at the age of 19, I became a Christian, changed my life, and so I wrote a book about it. And now thank you, I appreciate it. And so having a podcast and having a book around who I am attracts people to me, right? And I give clients a copy of my book. They can go on, because trust me, people are researching you and me on social media and on the internet before we show up because of digital. So what are they finding when they type in your name? Because when they type in Justin Ford Real Estate, they see videos I've done on social media, they see my podcast, they see my book, they can get, so they're learning all about me before I show up, and that's what we want. We want people to know about us, and there's a lot of ways that we can brand ourselves and put ourselves out there. And I would say make the investment into professional marketing materials. You know what's awesome is I created this presentation last night on the plane on my phone on Canva. On my phone. Literally. Johnny, that's why I didn't have it to you when I told you I would, because I still had to create it. He's like, send me your slideshow. I said, don't worry, I will in a little bit. I thought I had, the 3-hour time difference. I'm like, I got some time. And then he's messaging me at night. I'm like, I'm almost done. I'm not saying it's the best slide, but it's pretty darn looking, right? All I had to do was just add stuff to it, because Canva gives us the ability to create some really good looking stuff. And there's no reason when we're posting on social media or when we're creating flyers or slideshows or whatever that we can't use professional stuff, because it's available to us. This is what I mean. To be able to do real estate today, I'm not saying it's easy, because it's hard. It's a grind every day. But I believe it's a lot easier today to do real estate and be successful than it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Okay? Next, community building. I love this one. If you want to become a great marketer in your real estate business, is get out there into your community. Get out there into your community. What is community building? It's establishing strong connections within your local community. So I want you to think about your local community, your local neighborhood, your surrounding area. Real estate agents are looked at as trusted advisors. And when we're in the community and we're building that awareness or those relationships, people look to us as professionals, because we should be, right? I mean, we're licensed as professionals. And so we can take advantage of that and really get out there and get ourselves exposed. It's almost like the goal is, when I say local celebrity, I'm not saying become a celebrity to let it go to your head, but you want to be known in your community. You want to be known by the people who live in your community, do business in your community, go to school in your community, go to church in your community. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. Number one is partner with a local charity or start your own. How are you giving back to your community? If you're going on listing appointments and meeting buyers within your community, and a part of your value proposition is, hey, we're partnered with the United Way, and X amount of times per year, this is what we're doing to give back to our community. People want to work with people who are giving back and making a difference. Is there a local charity in your community, or could you create one? Could you create a nonprofit that gives back and makes a difference in your local community? Next one is what we call hybrid farming. This is a good one. So I was a part of a mastermind where I was actually leading the mastermind, but it was agents around circle tables like this, just talking about different ideas around a specific topic, and the topic happened to be door knocking. Now, most people don't like door knocking, just like most people don't like picking up the phones. And I teach door knocking, but I don't really door knock because I like making the phone calls. But I was at this mastermind, and this lady stood up. She was the captain of the table, and they were just sharing all the different ideas that they came up with during this mastermind about door knocking. And here's what she said, and this blew me away. She said, what we do is we partner with a local charity, and rather than going and door knocking and asking people for business, what we do is we got these little food drive bags and put our logo on it, and we also put the logo of our lender and also the charity, and we would go door to door once a month on Saturdays and knock on the door and leave the bag and say, hey, we're collecting food here in the area so that we can give food to this local charity, and we'd love to partner with you and do this. And here's the bag. There's instructions inside the bag where we can either come pick up the canned foods or the food that you want to donate, or you can bring it on over to our office, which is right down the street. She said when they started doing that, their business in that local area blew up. Why? They didn't even have to ask for business because they're the real estate agent in the community who's giving back. And what do people want to do? They want to give back. People want to support different efforts. I'm like, that's genius. So as soon as I got home, I went to my team and I said, listen, what nonprofit in our local area can we partner with? We found out that the United Way was in our same city, and I didn't even know they were there. Called up the United Way. They're like, hey, do you have any different things that we can partner with you on? They're like, absolutely. We're actually doing a back-to-school supply drive next month. Sign us up. Go to my lender. Hey, you want to co-sponsor this with us? Absolutely. They pay half the expenses for the flyers and the bags, okay? Then we go to the print shop, which is local as well. Hey, do you guys want to be a part of this? Absolutely. We love that you're giving back. We're going to discount the print cost 50%. Sweet. Go to my team. After our team meeting on Saturday morning, my team and the mortgage team went out and hit 500 doors. And what we did was we went out and let them know, hey, we're with the Justin Ford real estate team. We're local right here in Plymouth Township. Our office is right down the street. Hey, we've just partnered with the United Way, and we're looking to raise some school supplies for students going back to school. United Way actually gave us one of those boxes. It's right in our office, so you can actually come right by our office and bring school supplies. So many people were excited. I'm like, man, this is great. Only 2 people showed up with supplies. I'm like, the rest of those people were lying because they were like, I'm on my way to Target right now. But again, it's not just going out one time. So we're like, okay. So we're going to do this once a quarter, we said. So November, when it gets cold, United Way, hey, we're raising hats for the homeless. I'm like, all right. Same thing. Get the stuff done. Partner with the lender. Partner with the printing company. We go out there. Same paper. Hey, good to see you again. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, you said you were going to bring school supplies and you never showed up. But this time, 20 people showed up. And the box for hats for the homeless was literally overflowing. Overflowing. And you know what? We never asked, who do you know looking to buy or sell? We're not saying, hey, you want to work with us? We're just becoming visible in the community. Why? So that when they are ready to buy or sell, they're going to remember the team that walked the streets and knocked on doors, raising awareness for hats for the homeless or school supplies, right? And so that's what hybrid farming is. It's picking a part of your town or a neighborhood and hitting it for 12 months straight. So after we actually do the door knocking the next month, we send a postcard showing the box of school supplies. Well, I had to add school supplies to it so it didn't look like nobody showed up, right? But the hats for the homeless was overflowing. And you know what the postcard said? Thank you for supporting and giving back. And so winter, we do not go knock on the doors in the snow, okay? We're actually going next month. Next month is our next door knock. And so I'm not even doing it hoping like, oh, I got to get something now. I'm thinking like this next 12 months. So guess what we're going to do in the summer? And I heard this from an agent in Toronto. We're going to get an ice cream truck. We're going to pay for it. And we're going to send postcards to those 500 homes and say, on this date, we're going to have an ice cream truck, and it's going to be free for whoever wants it. And these are the times and the intersections that the ice cream truck is going to show up. Feel free to show up with your kids or by yourself and have free ice cream on us. And then we want to do a taco truck. And guess what? When you do that for 12 months straight, guess what's going to happen? Somebody sooner or later is going to say, you know what? I like these guys. Well, really, I like tacos, but I like these guys too. And so this is what I mean. It's just about being consistent. It's about branding yourself, marketing yourself, getting out into the community. Another way to do it is, and we're getting ready to do this, is the shopping carts at my local grocery store. I'm sick of seeing the agent's face on those shopping carts, and I said it's time for a change, right? So I'm believing I'm the next up. So I'm like, that guy's getting old. He moved to Florida. He acts like he's still here. He's not even really in the business. It's time for a new guy, right? You guys are supposed to laugh at that. No, but honestly, so it's like I'm going to be the guy in my town that when people think of real estate, they think of me. And that's how you do it. It's just constantly doing different things and being present and leading from a place of value, not just like, hey, I'm doing this only if I get business, but being genuine about giving back and making a difference. Next one, join your local chamber of commerce. Join your school board. I joined one of the board of educations. I'm a part of, in the town that I grew up in, I sit on the school board. It's a foundation attached to the school that I was a hellion in. So I'm giving back. And so I'm a part of that school board. And then in my local town, I'm one of the assessors for taxes. So when people come in to dispute their taxes twice a year, I'm on that board. Right? Now, hopefully I don't say no and they never want to do business with me, but hopefully their request is legitimate. But I'm in my community. The other one is DDA. It's called the Downtown Development Authority. The city I used to live in, I was on that. So when people were in the downtown area, they saw me. You can put your name on the shopping carts, like I said. You can door knock your local neighborhood, and you can also do mailers. But again, it has to be consistent or it's not going to work. How many of you guys are finding value in what I'm saying today? Anybody? Awesome. Okay. Last but not least, and we're wrapping up here, okay? Now, I'm not pitching EXP or anything like that. I'm a part of EXP. This is an EXP-sponsored event. So for those that are in the room that are EXP, let me tell you how this works also for agent attraction. Do I have any EXP agents in the room who want to attract agents? Raise your hand, okay? Awesome. And it can work if you're not with EXP and you have your own team or you have your own brokerage. See, when you go out and you become a professional and an expert in what you do, you're going to attract agents who want to do business with you. When people see you as the local celebrity, they see you giving back to the community, they see you selling a lot of homes, they see you successful in your local community, people are going to want to be in business with you. I've been at EXP for 3 years. I have 41 people on my front line, 200 people in my whole organization, and I've never called and recruited anybody. I've literally attracted people who said, I want to do business with you because I like how you do life and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of what you're doing in business and I just want to be a part of what you're doing because that's what, when people see you online, they say, I want to be a part of what you're doing. And so another way that you can do that is create a local mastermind, right? This is an amazing local mastermind that Brent and his organization do. But you can do a smaller one if you want with agents in your market center, agents in your office. You can do a mastermind where you bring agents together and mastermind and add value to them. Another thing that we do is when we have a closing with a co-op agent, we say thank you and give them a Starbucks gift card. Now, if they were rude, they're not getting a Starbucks gift card or a thank you. But if it was a good experience, you know what? Hey, can we grab lunch sometime? Hey, here's a coffee on me. Another one, networking events. Throw a networking event. Throw an event where you invite agents. Maybe it's a happy hour or it's something just to have fun together. You don't even have to talk about join my brokerage or join my team. It's all about building relationships. Next, you can become a coach. There's a lot of great coaching organizations out there. You can become a coach. Maybe you specialize in something specific and you want to help other agents. Become a coach and add value. Next, start a podcast. Super easy to start a podcast. Come up with some content, start a podcast, and then what you do is you invite agents on to be on your podcast. Okay? Next one, write a book. I started a prayer call. This is something because, my faith, we started a national prayer call that every single day at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, we have real estate agents all over the country that call in, and we pray for real estate agents. We pray for their deals. We pray for the things that they're struggling with. And we've been doing this 3 years, right? Yeah, go ahead. Amen. And it started with me doing it 5 days a week. Now I have 5 people running it, and I got other agents involved who also wanted to give back because, again, I attracted agents who are like me. Next one, we have a role play room. That's really early out here. It's at 7:40 a.m. Eastern, which obviously is pretty early over here. But every day, Monday through Friday, we have a role play room for people who actually call expireds and for sale by owners who want to practice their scripts. So at 7:40, they dial into Zoom. At 7:45, they get paired with another agent around the country, and they role play for 15 minutes. Every single day, Monday through Friday. Again, I started that and was doing it 5 days a week. Now I have somebody running it for me. Okay? And nothing may ever come from it, but what am I doing? I'm adding value to people. Okay? Next one, Facebook groups. You can create a Facebook group, a community Facebook group around something specific, and just come from a place of contribution and add value. And by doing all of these things that I've shared with you today and becoming great at what you do, you will naturally not only attract agents, but you will attract buyers and sellers that want to do business with you, that want to be in your world, that want to be connected to you, because that's what marketing is. You're marketing yourself, you're marketing your brand, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're saying, this is who I am. And you know what? Maybe you've got insecurities. Maybe you have a past that you don't want nobody to know about. Maybe you're afraid to put yourself out there because of you've been let down, or you're afraid of fear of rejection or any of those things. Just go read my book or do some research on me and all the stuff that I went through. And you know what? I'm unashamed of my past. And the reason why I share my past is because this is how I looked at it back then, is there's somebody in my future that needs to hear my story. And now I have people all over the country that read my book, listen to it on Audible, they're on the prayer call, role play room, whatever it is, and they're like, Justin, you have no idea, but your story changed my life. Or you have no idea that I've been calling into your prayer call for 6 months and I have cancer, and I haven't ever, chimed in to ask a prayer request, but it's the highlight of my day. Looking for ways that you can give back and add value to people, and by doing that, you'll have no problem in business. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you having me today. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was an honor to be here. If you guys want to connect, you can actually scan that QR code. It's not to sell you anything. It's to go to my link tree. If you want to connect on social media, I've got some stuff on there that you can find and connect with. My podcast is on there. If you want to be connected, and here's what I'll say. If you reach out to me, you'll get a reply. If there's anything that I can ever do to help you or serve you, let me know. Thank you guys for having me. God bless.
Justin, before we let you go, do you guys like to do a couple minutes Q&A with Justin? Would that be helpful? Give me who's got a question for Justin? Do we have a question? All right. If not, we're going to go to lunch.
There's a question.
All right. Broker Barry, coming to you.
It's a real simple question. What's the phone number for the prayer line? Because I need it more than most.
You know what? I appreciate that. If you go to the Facebook group, The Prayer Circle, it's right on Facebook. If you just type in The Prayer Circle, you'll see it on there, and it has all the contact information right on there. Because it's like we also do it on Clubhouse, too, for anybody that's on Clubhouse. So we have the call-in and the Clubhouse. And Broker Barry, we'd love to have you. God bless you, brother.
All right. Any other questions, guys? I got one last question for you, Justin.
Yes, sir.
Was there somebody? If you were to pick one thing, like if they were to walk away and implement one thing today, what would be the thing you would suggest?
That's a great question. I would say ultimately it's wherever your business is, but the one thing is this: we all need new business every day, because every time we sell a house, we're unemployed, and we have to go find somebody else to reemploy us. The fastest, and I mean this, if there's anybody in the room right now who is desperate for a deal, you know that you only have X amount of months left of reserves, you know you don't have much more time, and you're probably not going to make it, go pick up your phone today and start making calls. And I'm telling you right now, it's the fastest way to get to a now deal. If you need business, go out there and lead from a place of contribution and add value and have conversations. And I promise you, within no time, you'll have somebody who says yes.
Hey, Justin, love everything you said. I want to know how you time block your day. You said, I alluded to earlier that you had your team doing 8 to 12 lead gen.
Yep.
How do you manage the rest of your day? I mean, you obviously had to lead with that for an example for yourself. Do you still do that? And how do you fit social media in there, listing appointments, your family, working out, et cetera? How do you manage
That's a great
and
question.
what time do you get up?
Yep. Great question. Well, this morning I woke up at 2:30 because it was actually 5:30 Eastern time. So I prospect 3 times a week now because there's other days that I do stuff. And if you guys know the DISC test, I'm a high I, and I's have the hardest time with time management. So I've literally had to force myself how to learn how to do it, and I have not perfected it. Some days I still have no idea how I do it all. But every morning I'm usually up somewhere between 5 and 6. I don't set an alarm that says, boom, you got to get up right now. My body just naturally wakes up at a specific time. I'm to the office by 8 a.m. is when I get there to prospect. And then at lunchtime, depending on if it's a lunch with an agent or it's just going to lunch, I'm always taking some type of lunch. It's so important to make sure that we take time for ourselves. And then in the afternoon, I mean, where I am now is now I'm building my personal team. So I'm spending a lot of time during the early afternoon working on systems and processes and all of that. But then I do my listing appointments in the evening. I personally don't work with buyers. Not that I don't like buyers, but my wife, plus she's cuter than me, so she works with all of our buyers. But even when my wife wasn't licensed, I had a showing assistant. I never showed homes. I met with my buyer. I did a buyer consultation. I set the expectation that they're going to work with the showing assistant, because by running around, and again, nothing wrong with working with buyers, but we get to choose whether we want to work with buyers or sellers. We can choose. And I learned very early on that if you work with sellers, you control your time. If you work with buyers, you kind of get ran all over town, and that's just part of being a buyer's agent. And so we have 4 kids, and so I don't miss tennis matches. Matter of fact, we're flying home tomorrow to get home to my daughter's tennis match. My son plays baseball and football. My other daughter played soccer. And so I'm never missing something for the kids. And the way that you do that is you pre-put things on your calendar and call them non-negotiables. Non-negotiables means even if you have $1 million listing and you're supposed to be at your kid's game, whatever one you choose is where your priorities are. And so if I put a non-negotiable on there, and I'm not saying if it's not on your calendar and you choose the $1 million appointment, that's on you. But if my kid's expecting me to be at his game, $1 million deal is not as important as me being at his game. I don't work on Sundays. I've never worked on Sundays. It's our family day. We do church in the morning on Sundays, and we do family day. We do not work on Sundays. I haven't worked on Sundays in 20 years because that's a non-negotiable for me. And so you have to look at your day, and you have to set your day up and stick to it. It's not easy. We have 1 million things pulling us in 1 million directions in this business, and I just fail forward every day. Thank you. Yes, sir.
With all the different processes that you have for lead generation, different categories of leads, the social media, just everything that you do, I think it's all valuable. What CRM system do you use to be able to keep track of all your leads and organize your marketing program?
I use Follow Up Boss, and I love Follow Up Boss. And there's a lot of great CRMs out there, and I've tried a handful of them. I just feel like Follow Up Boss has a great interface, and they have especially with the team, to be able to tag your team, pass the lead off, be able to text and email and all that right through Follow Up Boss. I love Follow Up Boss, and it's got a lot of great tools and other systems that you can connect to it. And it's really helped a guy like me who's not normally orderly to be in order. That's a great question.
What's your website? Like, you use Follow Up Boss, right?
Yep.
What's it paired with?
YLopo. So I use Follow Up Boss and YLopo together, and YLopo has been a game changer for our business. It's phenomenal. I'm not here to promote stuff, but if anybody wants to learn more about Ilopo, I can tell you more about it because I work with the owner.
Hi, Justin. This is Charlton with Equity Zone Mortgage. You mentioned social media. When you do a video, are you doing 15, 30, 60 seconds, in your opinion?
It depends. So if you're going to do a reel, obviously you get up to 60 seconds on a reel. But, I just do a lot of videos off the cuff. I actually just hired a marketing company, and they want me to start doing more shorts for YouTube because, like, our podcast is on YouTube, but to start really doing a lot of shorts. And so, again, I'm not an expert when it comes to doing video, so I've hired someone that's going to kind of give me the path. But I think you can do a combination of all of them. Sometimes, people only want to watch a 15-second video. Sometimes it'll be 60. And there's a whole path that you can follow for that. But I'd say any one of them are good. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out, Justin. Everybody, one last
Thanks,
time.
guys.
Give him a round of applause.
Appreciate it.